Number 7 News at 8 o'clock on Local 3. We continue to follow a scary situation out of Boulder. Police are still looking for a man who sexually assaulted a student at an off-campus dorm.
Denver 7's Veronica Costa is at that dorm, Williams Village, with the new details on the suspect as students continue moving in.
Students moved in just on Monday. We're talking 3 days ago. This is really a time where they should be worried about finding that very first class for when school starts, or maybe even figuring out how exactly they're going to decorate this new space that they live in. But instead, they're worried about a sexual assault this morning, and it all happened right here behind me. This is the Williams Village, at least one tower of this living facility. Not only is this a super terrifying moment for that victim, but also for her neighbors who, again, now have to wake up to this news in a place that they're now calling home. So here's what we know about last night's sexual assault. It happened late last night, right around 10. Police say that suspect made his way into the building, knocked on the victim's door. The victim opened the door and she was grabbed by the neck and then sexually assaulted. We do have a description of that suspect this morning. We know that police described him as a white male, roughly college aged, about 6 feet tall. He was wearing a white or a gray shirt last night and some sweatpants. Police also putting this reminder out for anyone who either lives on campus or off campus. If someone knocks on your door, make sure you take a pause for a second, ask who it is before you go ahead and open that. And of course, CUPD is looking for any information on this sexual assault. If you know anything, you can give them a call. That's going to be over at 303-492-6666. In Boulder, I'm Veronica Costa, Denver 7.
Also breaking this morning, Denver homicide investigators have been called after a body was found in the South Platte River. This is near 13th and Zuni. No cause of death or ID for the victim has been released at this time.
Well, as we take a look outside from our mile-high camera, enjoy the sunshine. More rain is coming back into our forecast, Lisa.
Kind of a nice pattern, though. We get a couple of days of sunny, warm weather, and then more rain to balance it out. Beautiful, though, this morning, and you're right, it's gorgeous. We have 50s and 60s. Some neighborhoods already in the upper 60s, like Centennial and Arvada. Firestone and Erie right now at 61. 50s and a few upper 40s for the mountains. We're going to hit highs, though, today by about 4 o'clock in the upper 80s near 90. Denver right around 88, Boulder 87. We've got Estes Park at 75 and 78 near Roxborough Park and in through Deckers. So it's going to be a pretty nice afternoon, a warm one, definitely the warmest day of the week. If you're heading up to the mountains here this weekend, there will be more storms and showers. It's beautiful right now there at Long's Peak, a lot of sunshine at this point. But take a look at Futurecast. The storms today will be pretty few and far between out west. Here in Denver, dry, lots of sunshine. Tomorrow afternoon, though, we're going to get a better chance for more wet weather up in the mountains and even a few storms here. I'll show you the rest of this Futurecast hour by hour coming up, Jason, here in just a few minutes.
We have some problems. We have a problem in Cherry Hills where we have Bellevue and University partially closed down because of a rollover crash, big crash downtown Denver. And we have this situation in West Denver now on the eastbound side of I-70 over here at Lakeside over the Tennyson Bridge. Take a look from the camera. Just a moment ago, Air Tracker 7 was over it, and what they have is a paving project that happens on the overnight hours. Well, they were doing some work and they found that they got dug up a hole basically on the bridge right there over Tennyson in that center lane. So it's going to be like this for all day. Take a look at the map where we do have the big delays all the way back to about Kipling, 270 rather I-76 over towards 270, and then South I-25 gets you around at 6th Avenue might be one of the better options right now. Downtown Denver, take a look at the crash at 20th, the northbound side coming to a grinding halt all the way across downtown with a crash right before I-70. Drive times not 90 minutes, closer to 45 minutes, and then you have those big delays down here with that rollover partially blocking the intersection at Bellevue and University.
Here in about 30 minutes, one of the 3 teenagers accused of intentionally setting a Green Valley Ranch home on fire 2 years ago will be in court. This fire killed 5 members of a family, and this surveillance photo was all police had to go on. Just this nighttime photo of them wearing masks.
5 members of that family, as Brian said, died, including 2 children. They were from Senegal and beloved members of the community here. 3 other people were able to escape after jumping out of a second-story window. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford is at the scene, or at the courthouse now, where the suspect will be charged today as an adult.
That's right. So in less than about 30 minutes, a hearing is supposed to take place here at the courthouse behind me. Now, it's listed as an arraignment, but we could see Kevin Bowie taking a plea deal. So let's take a look back at how he got to this point. When we were at the courthouse here about 2 weeks ago reporting on a hearing, his defense attorneys wanted the hearing pushed back because they were working on a plea deal. Prosecutors said they were taking a bit longer to get that ready because they don't often work cases involving kids that are this severe. You've likely heard of plea deals on the news or on TV shows, but here are some main points that I'd like to share. These are agreements between defendants like Bowie and the prosecutors. Typically, the prosecutor offers to reduce the defendant's punishment by dropping charges or the severity of those charges. Sometimes the defendant agrees to testify against someone else, and there are other suspects here in this arson case. We don't know exactly what the situation could be here with Kevin Bowie, but we are likely to learn much more at about 8:30 when his hearing is set to take place. Now, a little bit more on plea deals. They can be pretty controversial. Critics say that a plea deal could make it so that the defendant doesn't really face the consequences of the crime that they committed. But others say that it could lead to false convictions. Live in Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
All right, very interesting. And Bowie's sister, Tanya Bowie, was sentenced to more than 10 years in prison last month. She pleaded guilty to drug and gun charges. Officials say she often dealt drugs with her brother and may have helped him cover up the Green Valley Ranch fire.
We are now hearing from some of the bystanders hurt during a Denver police shooting in Lodo last month, a night that they will certainly never forget. They were all outside of Larimer Beer Hall in Lodo as the bars were closing, and a crowd of people as officers responded to a fight that broke out. They opened fire intending to stop the suspect, Jordan Waddy, which they did, but they hurt others in the exchange. And those victims are speaking out after police released body camera video, and one victim can't bring himself to watch it yet.
I'm still dealing with the healing process of what took place that day, physically and mentally. I'll eventually watch it.
Everything happened so quickly, and in one of the videos you can very clearly see that the suspect had dropped the weapon before shots were fired.
And as a civilian, if I was to be in that situation or I shot a bullet in that situation, I would have been immediately, publicly everywhere and held accountable.
Shooting victims has nerve damage to his hand because of the incident. A grand jury will now decide whether the 3 officers involved should face charges.
Just in this morning, some good news on the job market. Weekly applications for new unemployment benefits are down from the week before. Analysts were actually expecting a slight increase. These are still above pre-pandemic levels. The labor market has been a bright spot, though, of this economy despite historic inflation.
A developing story we'll be following throughout the day. A judge will consider whether or not to unseal the affidavit used to justify the FBI's search of former President Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago. There will be a hearing this afternoon. The Justice Department has requested the document remain sealed. It says the release could cause damage to an ongoing criminal investigation and could prevent witness cooperation. Trump has called for its release, though, saying it's in the best interest of being transparent. Meanwhile, Trump is reportedly considering releasing surveillance video of the search. It's not clear when he might do that.
Well, Colorado students still have some ground to make up from the pandemic. The latest CMAS scores show improvements in math and English for most grades this spring over last, but the scores are still below pre-pandemic levels in 2019. Third grade English students saw about the same test results as 2019. The biggest drop of all was on the PSAT math test for 9th graders. Those numbers fell almost 9 percentage points from 2019.
It is a 10-gallon fish tank, and we empty this tank 4 times.
Coming up, still searching for solutions after this week's storm. Some renters are still cleaning up the mess. We're looking into your rights when it comes to storm damage.
Plus, a positive new outlook when it comes to COVID cases in Colorado.
And the renovations have people excited, but details about Casa Bonita's return are kept under wraps. Why Trey Parker and Matt Stone say it's a safety issue.